right, folks, we are live on the live stream. I had a nice little intro. We're going to be talking about medical preps and things medical related. This is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be bringing on TheMountainRN to talk about all things medical related. Before we get started, though, I have to just do a quick little disclaimer. So let me get my text over here. So again, disclaimer, this channel does not provide medical advice. It's for entertainment purposes only, so please don't sue me. The information in this live stream is for entertainment purposes only. No material in this video is intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. And always seek the advice of the physician and other qualified health provider for any questions you have with regard to medical conditions and treatments. Okay, we said it. All right, so this is going to be a fun one. I've been good friends with Daniel, TheMountainRN, for about I first met him back in 2015 when I was having my bug out walk, and we walked around a track with our bug out bags for 24 hours, and it was a blast. And Daniel, TheMountainRN, has really taught me a lot about modern wound dressings and all sorts of prepping type topics, in medical topics in terms of prepping. So oftentimes, you know, when we're talking about medical equipment, we're talking about how stuff has to be super sterile and everything. But when we're in a bug out scenario, we're probably not in a sterile environment. And then he also taught me a lot about, as far as modern wound dressings, getting rid of the gauze and replacing it with more expensive stuff that you get at the hospital, but it's a higher grade. So now all of my first aid kits look really thin now, thanks to TheMountainRN, but it has super high quality equipment in there. I used to have humongous first aid kits. So without further ado, let's bring them on right now. We have TheMountainRN. There we go. Welcome to the live stream.
Hello.
And how is Canada going up there? How's things going?
It's cold.
Yeah, it's cold down here too. Winter is coming.
Yeah. I can see the walkers going in by.
Yeah, the White Walkers are out.
Yeah, and my disclaimer is I don't do physical exam after this show.
Yeah, no physical exams
or sponge baths either. So.
Yeah, we were talking earlier today. You're one of my more controversial guests for some reason. I don't know what it is, but every time that we have a video with TheMountainRN, and I don't, because you're super nice. You drove all the way down from Vancouver to do this walk, and you provide, you work as a ICU nurse, and you have various specialties and other things too. I was kind of, maybe to get started, we could kind of talk about a little bit about your background, and then we'll just start diving into various prepping topics with regards to kind of like medical kits and things.
Yeah, and it's funny because I'm kind of, I've been a prepper without knowing I was a prepper. So initially, I used to do a lot of outdoors when I was a teenager. And at one point, I'm like, hey, I would like to know what to do in case something happens. So I went on the first aid course. Initially, it was like an 8-hour course. At the time, basically, the only thing you learned was how to dial 911, and that was it. So that's not enough. So I went to do my ski patrol, which is about an 80-hour course, first responder kind of course. And then from there, I went to college, and then I'm like, hey, that would be nice. And so I became a nurse. And from there, I got the chance to move to Alberta and got my career a little bit going. I did a lot of outdoors, therefore the TheMountainRN. So I was like, that was my two things. While I was there, my career really, like from a career point of view, I got to work in a very trauma center. I did a critical care course, a subspecialty in neurology. I became a flight nurse in helicopters, work in pediatric ICU. So I had like a very background. And then when I came here in Vancouver, still work a little bit in emergency and ICU, and recently last January, so almost a year now, I joined the biocontainment unit. So if you would be an Ebola case or any of those MERS, SARS, any of those disease, they would come to us, and basically we get a special training for that. So that's kind of like the training I got out of all this.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I always like talking with, we always have a good time talking, because you have all this training and this background and this stuff that's very important in the preparedness community. And I get to ask you a whole bunch of questions, and you're able to look at these medical topics with a prepper lens to it. So, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, and sadly, this is actually how I started my channel, was a response to that. Back in the days when back in the days, I feel so old.
Old school, yeah.
Yeah, old school, yeah. When Adams from Equipped to Endure started, I was watching his stuff and everything, and actually we met a few times back then. I started to get interested, and a lot of the medical video were like, what are they saying? Like, this is insane. And I had to say something. And sadly, that's, when you said, why does people hate me? That's why, because I always have something to say.
Well, I think because you've always been, since I first met you, you've always been anti-gauze. You like the more, the modern wound dressings that you talked about where they kind of turn into a gel. But what I've always liked is that you say certain things, that your opinion on a medical thing, and then you provide like 3 PDF documents and medical articles and stuff. Hey, here's what I think, and here's the articles that kind of the support this claim, and then people get mad about that. So,
yeah, and sadly, that's it seems like it, because for my opinion, it's a evidence-based research. I did my research, like for example, the gauze. It was me getting into wound care, looking at this, and then at one point, it would be interesting to see what they were doing in the past, and so I read this book on wound history through, like, biblical time and what they were doing and stuff like this. And out of a book from something like 1930s, they're saying how gauze was bad and infections and stuff like that. I'm like, we're still using that, and. And like you said, like all your kits, they get smaller, they get more efficient. It's amazing that, like, in there you can treat somebody for probably a month, 2 months. And those, like, I had burns. I got burns on me. I self-treated myself and never needed the gauze and all this. And the problem with gauze too is then after that you have to discard them, which create a problem, because now if they're filled with biohazard fluids in a situation when the grid is down and the garbage are not coming and stuff, you have to dispose of that. Critters can come in this because now you have blood and smells and stuff like that. So upset, it's not good either. So that's why I kind of up the gauze. But somehow it became very controversial. I got locked out of some YouTube channels. I got locked out of forums.
You must like gauze or you're out of here.
That's where there's like, bend to the wheel of the gauze.
Now, before we get started on some of the deep dive stuff, really quick. So I provided you have your YouTube channel in the description box below, so people subscribe to that. A lot of good content in here that's kind of a medical kits and medical equipment with a prepper lens to it. So I've provided a link to that, and it looks like you have a certain maybe a adult beverage with you. What kind of a beverage are you drinking this evening for the live stream?
You told me to bring my own drink, so
yeah, it's BYOB on live stream.
Yeah. So I brought my own Cajun whiskey made of maple syrup. Yeah.
So Canadian Nurse whiskey with the maple
this
syrup.
This is in French. It means sortilège. Is like a sword, like when you throw a spell to someone. So that's a sortilège. So that's what it is.
Now, I thought I'd tell a little funny story. So let me see if I could get my screen over here. So we at my home, you were last over here before COVID.
Yeah.
Daniel's a constant conversation with my wife and I, because when Daniel came over here last, he always brings a lot of toys. Like, where does he get those wonderful toys for medical stuff? And you came over and you brought the largest medical kit, I think, on the planet. let's see it really quick. So let's see, here's the website. So he came over and brought, hey Cliff, I brought my medical kit with me.
Yeah, this is. That's my 2 month. That's my what I call my 2 month medical kit. Yeah. Yeah. So it is my medical kit, my first aid kit. That's what it is. Yeah.
It's so I have it back here on the desk, and but it's been on our tread. We did some videos down there, and we had it on the treadmill downstairs, and it's so heavy that my wife couldn't pick it up, and she's like, "Hey, you tell Daniel to move his medical kit out of here. It's I can't move. I can't go on the treadmill." So, but yeah, and then one of the items that you took out of there was most of us preppers, we have our tourniquets and we have our medical shears and we have various wound dressings. The Mountain RN went in his kit and he brought out this like Canadian prepper type saw. I forget the brand. And I'm like, what is that? And he's like, oh, that's my bone saw. And so the Mountain RN has a bone saw in his medical kit. So it's the real deal. But
oh yeah, there's even in there's a kit for what they call external fixation, which is kind of like wires that you can go into and stuff. And that idea came from a course I did in disaster medicine, and that's what they were using back in the 80s. And they said they really loved it. And what happens, the company was kind of moving. It was on eBay, and it was a special and stuff. So yeah, that kit has like, I want it. I want it back.
So I'm actually harvesting it and putting it into the different modules and in the garage and stuff too. So looks like there's a lot of people in the chat room. I already see a bunch of questions coming in. Again, a disclaimer that this is for, we're just talking. We're talking medical stuff in regards to prepping, and we're going to have fun doing it. So this is for, don't get mad at anything. So.
And we're not stapling each other this time. Last time it didn't go well.
Yeah, that's another thing that we can talk about a little later. So so on the Discord server, which the Mountain RN recently joined, and a lot of people have been joining that lately, which has been a lot of fun. There's a lot of questions that came in, so I thought we'd maybe kickstart some of the Q&A type questions, and then we'll just go through the stuff in the chat room too. So I'm just going to start picking them out, and we could just talk about it. So let's see. This is a good one. If speaking to someone who hasn't had medical training in many years but wants to get started, how do you know where to start?
So anywhere is better than nothing. And this is like, where's my soapbox? I put it somewhere. No. But is sadly, there's a lot of, it became an industry a little bit, I find. And that was a little bit what kind of got me controversial, because some of the popular people out there, we won't name names, but I became pretty vocal against because of what they were teaching. And this concept of survival medicine or things like that came out, and I was like, what the hell is that? Like, it doesn't exist. And I think people a lot of time were sold courses because I had like several staple on it. It's a cool factor, but I don't know if it's relevant. For me, I think there's like the middle ground. So the regular first aid course that we get when you're, at a job and everything, it's good too. I mean, it's medical stuff, but it lacked this improvisation part. And I find wilderness medicine or austere medicine, so any of those courses, and there's a lot of those now. Before it used to be very hard to get those, but now they're pretty much everywhere. Those are the best courses to do. So if you really want to be a prepper, and it's first aid for prepping, those would be the best one for wilderness. One, you can use them too, because most of preppers are either hikers or stuff like this, and it can be useful. But two, it's when you don't have the resource. It's more concept. So for example, like a good example of that is, if you did any first aid course, they always told you, if you find someone, hold the head and wait for the ambulance to come and everything. And in wilderness first aid, they would tell you, they would teach you how to assess the neck mobility, because if you hold the person down, now it can die of dehydration, hypothermia, and all that stuff. And versus if you able to walk out, that's better. And there's very low chance of spine injuries in 99.9% of the chance. You'll be able to walk out of there, which is safer. So the best place to start would be like, and the Wilderness Medical Society is they have like a list of all the places. And fortunately for the United States, you guys have there's course everywhere. A lot of times, sometimes for me to get training, I have to go on the other side. So the other advantage now with COVID is that a lot of those courses are offered online. But you don't have the tactical, but at least, like you you can learn stuff. And one also on Coursera. There's a good course, EMT course. It's free. I never watch it, but I saw the program, and it's an EMT course, which is stand for Emergency Medical Technician. For the level of one, a weekend would be good for anyone. But if you really want to get serious about things like in the back of the bag and things like that, you don't need to become a nurse or a doctor for that. But at least a first responder level would be minimum, and then EMT even better.
Cool. Great. Let's see. We have one here from, this is in the comment section. This is from William. This is maybe more prepper tactical related. Let's see. When stabbed in the leg, I should remove the knife. True or false?
False.
False.
Well, yeah. So it
you always see that in the movies. Like you see that in the movies, like especially like old kind of medieval ones where they get a bow, an arrow or something stuck there.
Yes.
Stick it out. You always see that.
It's because
seems risky.
Yes, it's because you see. So if you imagine the pencil, here is the knife. This is what you see, but what you don't know is what's the angle of it. So you may want to pull this way because you think the knife's way, but it's on an angle. So if there's vessels here that didn't cut because when it went in, when you take it out straight, you may cut more damage. But at the same time is that if you have again, now we're talking like wilderness medicine, if I have to evacuate and I have a knife in my leg, then it can be hard to walk with. So a lot of time they say, realize it because of that. It's just because of the entrance and how deep it is and stuff. And that's better done under surgical evaluations.
Yeah. It's like from Jade, we already have. Thank you for your frontline service. We appreciate you. We do appreciate the MountainRN, even though
thank you. Yes,
some forums do not appreciate it, but
yes.
we love them here on the channel. So
actually, during those things like the 7 p.m. thing, we got it over here. I have to say to people, a lot of time, I don't know, nurses are seen sometimes as good people or bad people, or and I've seen actually colleagues of mine like crying when they saw this because it was moving to know that you're recognized for your work. Yeah. Because like a little bit like firefighter, when the fire goes, they go in while everybody runs away. Well, during COVID, everybody was at home and we were going to work, like getting cuffed in the face and stuff like that. So, that's true. But yeah, it was very warm feeling to have this thing because I've seen like literally my colleagues like crying and everything and stuff. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, definitely we support the frontline workers here on this channel. That's for sure. This one's interesting. This is from Jacob. This is posing the question: if you do have medical waste and SHTF, what do you properly do with it? What do you think on that?
So this is an interesting question because that's one that I've been trying to solve. When you read there's a great book. So one of the place that when I'm starting to look like for my concepts is the World Health Organization and also Doctor Without Borders, because that's the kind of stuff they do. And when you're starting to talk about biohazard waste, so if I have a Band-Aid because of a little boo-boo, that's not biohazard waste. Like there's not enough component out of it. But you're starting to talk about like dripping gauze or dripping dressing wounds. That stuff is biohazard and with anything. And the only way that you can get rid of that stuff is by incineration. So that's one of the issue is now you have to have enough heat and have a barrel to do that. So when I was starting to think about different ways, there is designs of like those ammo cans. You can do an incinerator with that. Or for me, I was looking at maybe like a garbage can. So a lot of people, like at one point I used to keep my my radios in there for like a Faraday cage. And
Yeah.
then one of the other issue was transferring them into a, you have to burn it, but it's not just burn, you have to incinerate it.
And so not just, so I saw William said burn it, but
Yeah.
incinerate it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, because to kill whatever it is, especially if you're starting to talk about Ebola or anything, or biocontainment, you have to look. For example, at the biocontainment units, when we put stuff in the garbage, we're not even allowed to push it because the little particles, those barrels gets close and they go. The barrel itself just goes straight to and so that's like heavy burden stuff. Like it's not just blood. But.
Yeah. Cool. I see some people are still commenting about the humongous first aid kit. Let me go for new viewers that we were talking about this. I see this is from Jay. That's big enough for a CPR dummy. That is true. It's from Tanzi. That's a boss at first aid kit. Our brass says that's not going to fit in an Altoids tin. That is correct. It's not going to. Okay, we're talking about the TheMountainRN over here, and a disclaimer: this is for entertainment purposes. We're talking about medical stuff with regard to SHTF and everything. And again, we're super special thanks for frontline service. So this is going to be fun. So, man, there's so many cool questions coming in here, and I'm trying to get to all of them if I can. Let's see. Next question. We haven't rehearsed any of this. This is all. That's there. I was hoping to talk with you about masks because we've been talking about masks before masks were cool. And as far as like the whole donning and doffing of a mask, I really wish that was something with COVID going on, that there'd be a lot more information on, hey, here's how you properly don a mask. Here's how you properly doff a mask.
Yeah.
And you were talking about this, 5 years ago, and now it's like applicable now. I know that we can't substitute like real training, because I know that for medical professionals, you get trained for this. Like maybe we could talk a little bit about your thoughts on masks in general with everything going on.
Yeah. Actually, I remember you were like, I introduced you to the N95. You're like, what is that? I'm like, well, this is the N95. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Say what? But yeah, like for example, every year we have to be fit tested, and actually this year I had to be refit tested again because the one that I was fitted, because there's like numbers in it and like that, 3M was not going to do it. So they're serious stuff, like truly a true good N95 when it fully fit tested. You see, like yesterday I did a shift and I had to shave because you have to not wear anything, because obviously any little particles, the air can come in and stuff. But a good mask, when I close my hands like this, the mask will kind of close up on you. So that's how, and N95 is actually, it's a respirator. It's not a mask. So this is a mask, and N95 is a respirator. And then you have now, because we're getting like so short, like when you think about when we're dealing with COVID or susceptible to COVID, every time we go into the room, we have to put the mask, take the mask, put the mask. So we don't have enough supply anymore. So what they came out now, it's a little bit those painter masks. And I just got fit tested with this. And it's a little bit like the same cartridge that you have with yours, but instead of being a full face, mine is kind of a half face, and it's it's the same filter of N95, but we clean them and everything and stuff. But yeah, I get one question I get asked, and it's actually interesting because a lot of time people, when they put their mask, can see there's steam in my nose. It's because they don't. One thing they do is they clip like this, and what that does is that it creates a little hole on the top. So the proper way when you put your mask is to take your two fingers and slowly going down. And I don't know if it's going to work with this mask, but see, like the steam kind of decreased a lot. It's because now it's sealed properly. So when people say my glass keeps fogging, is because your mask is not properly fitted. And when you take it off, you don't take it off this way. So the most contaminated part of the mask is this part. So when you're supposed to take out the mask, and you take it away from you.
Yeah.
Because now, and when we talk about decon or biohazards and stuff, it's hot, cold, hot, warm, and cold. Hot is always the most virulent. And so when I go into a room, that's the hot zone. But when I get out of the zone, even if I'm in the warm zone, my mask is hot because now this is fully contaminated. So when you start thinking hot, cold, warm, what's cold, then it's easier to do to like, okay, yeah. So when I take off my mask, this is warm, this is hot, and this is cold inside because it's technically didn't go out. But if I go like this, now I just contaminated my hand. Now I go in, the mask was useless basically. So
cool. Yeah, I miss the days. I remember because I've done a lot of mask videos before Masks Were Cool, and I learned a lot of the stuff from you. And I mean, I always got heckled. Hey, you can't. Why are you doing this gas mask video? You haven't shaven yet. And it was all about getting the proper seal. And it's kind of disappointing that now, like, I guess people don't care about if you're shaved or not.
Oh my God, we have.
I've seen some Starbucks workers where they have humongous beards.
Yes, we had this guy. He had like a little bit of beard like you and stuff. And one day he came back from work and he had like all like skin bleeding because he had to shave the whole thing before COVID. It was this beautiful he's been having, but we like now we have to. They just upgraded our out of COVID. We used to just have to wear masks if we were in the patient area, and now it's the whole time. Me going into the hospital, if I go to lunch, the only time we don't is if I drink or eat. Otherwise, mask 24 hours, 12-hour at a time in the shift. So.
Yeah, you have long shifts. Whenever I talk to Daniel, he's you give me your whole schedule for the past 2 months. you search for an opening, and I'll come on the show. So, here's a question that I think we got. Someone asked earlier. Someone else is putting it in the comment section. That is super glue okay to use on cuts? Because a lot of us preppers have super glue in our first aid kits. So.
Yeah. So yes and no. So the glue that we use in the hospital is almost the same thing. It's kind of the same component. It burns a little bit less, and I think it lasts a little bit. It's a little bit more waterproof and things like that. But my understanding from what I was reading is that when they created super glue in the Vietnam War, that was kind of their use. And the glue that we have in the hospital, they're good, but it depends on the cut. So I don't know if that will come out a little bit. I have a cut here that's kind of like, it was a skate that cut me. And so it was open this big. I cannot glue this. The only thing we can glue is like if it's jagged like this and very distant, I cannot glue that stuff because when I bring my skin on top and I do this, the pressure from the skin will just break it up. But if a lot of the people like kids, so if they have a little cut over the eyes, like putting them down, like falling them asleep and stuff, and trying to suture and everything, we'll put like a little bit of glue. It stays on, and then it disappears, and then we don't undo and stuff. But it has to be in places where it's straight. So, for example, joints where there's tension, glue won't work. It has to be nice hedges and not too. If I have a wound like this, I'm not gluing this because the edge won't stay together. But if it's a nice cut, like an X-Acto cut, like for example, I keep showing cuts, but like a little cut like this, if it would be a little bit more open, the perfect thing for a glue.
Yeah,
because it's in a place where it's not. Yeah.
Before COVID times, every time that you came into town, you'd come in for town for some training and like, hey, I got this new cut over here, and then we would staple it, or all sorts of. I think you were the one that got me into carrying like the Stera strips too, which have saved the day so many times now since I carry it in my wallet and I carry it in all of my kits now. And then one of the videos that we did, I should probably see if I can find it really quick, was one of the ones that got me flagged on YouTube back. It was let's see, we have the modern wound dressings, but the one with the toe where you had the
yes, that's what I was going to say. Yes.
you put the nail in the toe to help release the pressure there, and a lot of people seem to like it, but it also was like I don't know, got flagged, I think.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it's called. It has a weird name, and after a night shift, I can barely.
That
there
one
you
here.
go. Yeah, basically what you do is because the nail protects a little bit, and you take like a pin or something, and then you burn through the nail, and it creates a little hole, and basically it becomes like a pimple.
Yeah. That's
there
the
you go. Subgingual hematoma. Yeah, bleeding under the nail. Yeah.
Yeah, I got so much flack for this video, and it was just something where every time you come into town, you have new wounds on you. I don't know what you're getting in some kind of Batman level fights or something with people.
Yeah.
We're talking over here with MountainRN. This is all MountainRN's ICU nurse in Canada and a lot of different training. And we always like talking in terms of medical stuff with prepping. It's for entertainment purposes. Please consult your doctor and don't get mad at us. He's drinking a Canadian whiskey, so we can't really trust anything he's saying.
Can I trust any of my?
Yeah. Oh man, all these questions coming in. Let's see.
You want me to do the pandemic lockdown?
Yeah, is that the one from Bernie?
Yeah.
So let me get that one really quick. So let's see. Where'd it go? There was one that I wanted to get really quick while I try to find that one. It was the one on the. A lot of us preppers have tampons in our first aid kits, and everyone's like, "We got some tampons for if you get shot." What do you think of tampons in prepper first aid kits?
They need to go right beside your gauze pile.
Okay.
Yeah. So the thing with their tampons was a good. So medicine is principle. Like, once you understand the physiology and the pathology of why you're doing this is why we're doing. Like, for example, why are we doing CPR? Is like when you understand the physiology, you understand why we're doing CPR because it does this. The problem with tampon is that it's absorbent, yes, but it doesn't do what we're supposed to do. The purpose of pressure on the wound when it bleeds, it's not to be absorbent, it's to create clots. It's to give time for all those little mediators to come around up the hole in the hose so that we don't bleed anymore. And tampons don't do that. And a lot of the time what people do, and because they're so thick, because a lot of people think direct pressure, and what they'll call direct pressure is what I'm doing right now. This is not direct pressure. This is direct pressure. The pressure, so if my wound is here, I'm pressing here. I'm not applying a surface over there. I want this to stop. I will apply so much pressure. Like it has to hurt almost. Like you go right in there and like you hold the pressure, because that pressure will a little when you have a hole between the holes, when you cut it. But that's what you're trying to do with this. And by decreasing the diameter of your vessels a little bit, that's simplified, but if you decrease the diameter of your vessels, more of those mediator can die, and then that fibrin and clots can form, and then suddenly that blocks. Tampons don't do that.
I remember whenever you come to town, you always whenever the MountainRN is in town, he's always bringing this medical stuff and kind of teaching me a little bit, little tricks of the trade. And one of them that I remember you taught me was like it was almost like a balloon or something that you would inflate.
Foley.
Yeah, and so Foley cap
with a condom.
Yeah, with a condom. Bringing condoms to my place, and so. And so you're talking, if there's a wound like that you really are shoving this thing in and you're inflating it and it's putting the pressure on the inside as well. And
yes, and it's basically creating exactly what sometimes we do. So for example, let's say I would be shot in the abdomen. It would be hard to do the pressure and to get into the hole, because now you have a hole of a bullet. It's hard. And so this is why people thought, oh, tampons is going to be good because that'll be push. But if I put the Foley in and I inflate in the condom, just like when we see sometimes with survival, we can carry almost a liter of fluid. So if you think about that, you get about this balloon pressing on the wound. So they use it in obstetric when people when delivery, if the placenta gets stuck into the vagina and things like that, in the uterus and things like that. So what they put is they put the Foley into the vagina, and then basically it can kind of put a pressure on, and so then it can stop the bleeding and stuff. And so then they started to use that on people with traumas and stuff in place like Africa and all this. And so this is what I carry, because also it has multi-use, but it's, well, I showed you, right? When you suck it up, it's all like it's latex, so it's compressed super small. You put a condom in there, and then I have to. I don't know why your wife let me still in your house, like
you leave these humongous bags, and we're bringing condoms, bringing bullet and not real bullets, but bullet bourbon. But
the bullet bourbon, and I finished the bottle before I finished getting it.
This is, I forget how long ago it was that you're here, but it's when you brought this humongous first aid kit that we see back here, and I think you brought a bottle of bullet, and I think we killed the bullet. We filmed videos and stuff, and
that was a bad idea. I think
that was a bad idea.
Like a lot of people were like, "Oh, what is he talking about? Doesn't know." It was about those project of, and you lost a lot of, you lost money and subscriber. So.
Yeah, there's just a question from the Apex Prepper, aka Bernie. Let's see. Have you heard of a second wave of the pandemic lockdown coming? What should we prepare for this one that will be different for the next? I imagine from a medical perspective. So,
one thing that drives me nuts, and actually one of the reasons I kind of stopped doing a little bit videos, is because COVID became a little political, and the problem is we're shooting something that we've never seen, and because the real term is novel coronavirus, so novel, we never seen that before. It doesn't act like influenza, it doesn't act like SARS, it doesn't like MERS, because MERS, it's like 40% stuff, and actually the biocontainment, we would have MERS patient. SARS, we would have be activated. COVID, we don't. It's not as deadly as influenza, but it propagates better. And before, we always thought about droplets and airborne, and now COVID seems to be like, no, there's something else. Like it's aerosols. Like it stays in the air, but it's not totally and stuff. So now what we know, like for example, in Canada, we just upgraded our. Now they declare it airborne. But again, airborne with, like, I would put a caveat. Because for example, when I say airborne, it's like if somebody would be in the back of me in the room. Even if I breathe inside, because we're breathing the same air, because disease. COVID, it does sometime, and it needs help. Like, so if there's bad ventilation, if I get the fan, those droplets could go there. So that's why they talk about aerosols, is they seem to stay in the air, but they're kind of a mist, a little bit like when you walk inside those mosquito mist that are just inside, you get hit. It's a little bit what COVID is going. And the next lockdown, we have more knowledge and we have more things in place, but now this new airborne thing is changing. Like those little barrier that we used to have, that when you go to groceries and stuff that we thought was enough. It's not working anymore, because now that means, like, if it is truly airborne, that means it's going above that. So I think we are going, like, we're even here in Canada, we're seeing a little bit more lockdowns, and fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know, but we seem to be a little bit better shape than most in the United States. Like, a lot of our hospitals are not overwhelmed yet and things like that. We were able to flatten the curve, but like even here in BC, where we were one of the least to have, our case has doubled, and we have seen like higher case. The problem with this is that I'm not sure how much are influenza and how much. And the other thing too is that, like, I don't know if you heard, but there was like in Norwegian, I think, a bunch of animals got killed because they had COVID, and
Yeah, I heard about the minks. Is that what?
Minks, yeah. And
Yeah.
so it seems like now, because every time that this is the problem with the COVID with more people, it change. It keeps changing, and it seems like taking a life of its own and is doing another alteration. And so maybe we'll have like a vaccine for when. This is why, for example, each year you need to have the flu vaccine, because we cannot find a sequence. Like one season it's one sequence, another sequence, and it seems like with COVID it's changing again because there's so many people getting it. It has time to change, and so the second wave maybe it's coming. That's for sure. There's gonna be one, and probably when I be locked down, will it be as bad as the first time? Maybe not, because we know more. Two, we have put more measure in place. Like for example, when we go to do grocery shopping, they never used to clean the carts. They never put those boards. Nobody used to wear a mask all the time, and so now it's part of our culture. So that, but yeah, it's gonna be. Add to all this the flu, and then they talk about the two demics. Would there be like a mix of influenza and COVID that kind of do a super bug and then kind of comes out, or do you have influenza or COVID, or you have COVID and influenza, or so? Yeah, it won't be nice. Yeah, it won't be nice.
So yeah, we're talking with the TheMountainRN over here, a longtime friend of the channel. We've been getting together for years now and doing various videos from medical videos, kind of from a prepper mindset as far as the organization and the type of gear to include in your first aid kits for your bug out bags or for your home emergency kits. His YouTube link is available in the description box of this video. A lot of good information over here. Also dives into a lot of ham radio stuff too. So you should definitely go subscribe to him. We were showing the photo of the largest first aid kit that I've ever seen, which is back there in the background there now. So yeah, so make sure you guys support. There's all sorts of questions still coming in, and I think maybe we should try to do like a rapid fire, like
sure.
Let's just go like because I know, man, it's already we've been going pretty good already. So
yeah.
I think after, and I was going to give a quick little shout out after the stream is done. I think we're going to head over to the after hours party over on the Discord server. There's a link in the description box, and there's a prepper lounge there in one of the voice channels. And if you have any questions, we'll hang out there for a couple minutes, and I may get a glass of bourbon myself. So let's do like rapid fire TheMountainRN Q&A. And again, let me put my disclaimer up really quick so no one gets mad. So again, this disclaimer: this channel does not provide medical. We're just talking. So we're just talking about prepping type stuff. So all right, here we go. Rapid fire Q&A with the TheMountainRN after the glass of the whiskey right there. So do you recommend an AED for a prepper bug out bag kit? If so, where can I pick one up?
Oh, a lot of time, like there's yes, if you think, because that saves lives. Yeah. And they're becoming cheaper and cheaper. Where to pick? That's a good idea. That's a good question. But probably there's like now, like on eBay, I think you can even I would check on eBay.
Yeah, I've been looking at getting one for our kit because I get training for CPR stuff every year, and we teach about the EAD.
Because even like when I was thinking, like when we go to kayak trips, sometimes we're very far. That's the only thing that could save. Like the people always talk about CPR, but really what saves life is the EAD. So
yeah, totally. And people seem to be appreciative of the proper mask wearing, fit, and donning and doffing. Yeah, so that was a cool start of the live stream. Hopefully, if you're not watching this live, make sure when you rewatch it, I think you'll like that part.
And then, by the way, just a note on that: most contamination happened during the doffing, which is removing. That's when people get contaminated, because when we put the gear, first of all, we're cold. But when after I got in, I can be tired and everything, and that's when people they'll take their mask and they don't think about it, and then they go, and then suddenly you have it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I saw a lot of comments in the chat room. One was on just general thoughts on quick clot, and then this other one is a quick clot has produced a lot of heat when
it used to, but not anymore. So the first generation, whatever product they used was actually burning people. Like apparently it was like awful. The second generation doesn't do that anymore. So.
Cool. So and then there's this one's from Rachel. Do you have to clean quick clot out after a cut before bandaging it?
Well, the reason of a quick clot is to have a clot quickly. So if you start cleaning it, then you may start rebleeding it. So I would leave the quick clot and wait for a little bit. And so, because that's the purpose, is that direct pressure didn't work. So basically, when you treat it with direct pressure, that doesn't work. Quick clot, that doesn't work. Tourniquet, and this is why a lot of people, they go straight to the tourniquet, but that's the last resort. Yeah.
And I saw there's a question. There's a comment here with regard to do you amputate after tourniquet?
No, all the time.
Have you had people come in there like into the, because I know you've probably seen a lot of stuff up in Canada in the ICU and the ER and stuff. Have people come in with tourniquets that you've seen?
Yeah, or even sometimes we put it. So like one case I remember, the guy was hanging a window and he fell through the window. So basically he cut his arm, and when he cut those arms, like, he cut all this, so they were all open like that. And for us to be able to repair that, we had to put tourniquet, but they're cool. So they're machines, and a little bit like a blood pressure machine. They inflate and they deflate and inflate, and there's like, you have no blood circulating. Like they're pretty big, and so sometimes we'll wear that. But the Wilderness Medical Society says you can keep it up to about 2 to 3 hours, and it's been prolonged now. Gangrene would set up like down the road. If that's really an issue, like you have issue, then the gangrene thing.
Yeah, this is another one. Because again, you I remember right before COVID happened, you were doing like real like biohazard, like specialty training or something where you're.
Yes, that's the biocontainment unit. Yeah. Yeah,
and you just showed me a photo of it today where it was you and some other nurses there, and you're like you're pretty tall guy, so it looked like a Chewbacca in a containment suit, and then a bunch of minions over there.
Minions, Ewoks. The Ewoks.
Yeah, it was like Chewbacca and the Ewoks in these containers. It was pretty awesome.
Last training we did was a man down. Like if we fall down, how to get us out. And their thing was to get me out, so it didn't make me feel too good about my.
It was pretty funny. Let me see if I can put a photo. I don't have a high res version of the photo, but I think I could put it here that's the photo that was. Yeah, it's kind of blurry there, but cool. So let's see. People are appreciative of the responses. Someone's asking about does higher humidity help with COVID droplets?
Yes and no. So it's not just like flu, but for example, one device that we use is called high flow nasal cannula, and it's so you have room air, so that means an air, and then we have those nasal prongs that you always see in the movies and stuff like this, and then you have a mask, and in between this and being intubated with a tube in your mouth, there's a device called high flow. One is humidify and seems to help. But one thing that they've been showing, to go back to a little bit the question of Bernie, to prepare for the next COVID, I wouldn't recommend, again, like what you were saying, don't treat yourself at home and everything like that. But if you have a O2 saturation, then you could monitor your own SAT. And there's even place, because the hospital is so overwhelmed, they've been sending people at home to monitor their own SAT. And so they keep how much oxygen they have in their blood and stuff like that. But one thing that has been shown, it's called the prone positioning. So in medical jargon, supine is when you're laying flat, and prone, that would mean that so the bed would be here. So I'm in prone position. So basically my lungs are towards the front. And it has been shown that what we call awake proning has been helping with some COVID patients.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. Going through. Everyone seems to be really liking all the the medical stuff. It's a fun talk. Let's see. Cool. That's a cool one. Your best 5 things for a first aid kit by TheMountainRN. What do you think?
Ooh, okay.
We know the bone saw is one.
Yeah, the bone saw, that's for sure. Well, so define first aid kit first. So, for example, in my kits, what I started to do was a trauma kit and a first aid kit, so boo-boo kit. So in my trauma kit, I got, so we'll take two of those. CPR mask, and actually I don't use mask. I used kind of a little device, and plus now they don't recommend to do it, especially with COVID. So actually, knock that one down. But an epi pen and a tourniquet for that. And then for the boo-boo kit, Aquacel.
Aquacel. Yeah, Aquacel.
Yeah.
So it's so expensive, but it's so awesome too.
Yeah, it works for everything and stuff. And then so that's 2, 3 for that. The other one would be the hydrogen. What's it called? Those Band-Aid hydrogen, hydropogen. They're Band-Aid does it for blisters, but they're great. I
know. Yeah, I know the one that you're talking about because you recommended it to me. Yeah.
So those would be those Band-Aids, and then
I've been liking what honey. You told me about the honey. I've been liking the Tegaderm that
yes.
I think you're the one that got me into. I have Tegaderm all over the place, but
oh yeah, and Manuka honey.
Yeah, the Manuka honey. Yeah, that's another. I guess you can eat it if you want to, but it's also yeah, it's expensive, but it's really good stuff. I since you told me about it, I've been doing it on burns and stuff. So
yeah, and those little package that I
the little ones,
for travel, they work great because it's a dose and stuff like that. So that would be my 5 things. Yeah.
Cool, awesome. Let's see. Is penicillin good for emergencies, and how long will it last?
So that's another of my pet peeve.
I know that's a touchy subject with you, right? I know that.
Yeah, so I did a video on that. It's not that I'm against it, but the problem with antibiotic is that people are, and again, it's one of those myths or misinformation. Let's put it in misinformation. It's not a myth, but they make it sound like, oh yeah, I'll buy a bunch of bottle of fish antibiotics. I'll keep it at home, and when somebody has a pneumonia, I'll give him that. One. The reason how we choose our antibiotics is by studies. So, for example, when they say you have a pneumonia, if you go see your doctor, they say 90% of the time it's called a community-acquired pneumonia, and 80% of the time. So again, those are percentages, and that's how they know it will respond to this antibiotic because that's the bug that comes into this stuff. Throw a monkey wrench in that as there's a disaster. You can start talking about stuff like you're not talking about community acquired, but you're starting to talk about stuff like leptospirosis because urine of rats that have ran out because there was an earthquake. Now you're starting to have that pneumonia. It still has the same signs and symptoms as pneumonia, but the problem is it's not the same pneumonia. It's not the same organism. There's something like 30 different organisms that creates the pneumonia. And this is the problem with the penicillin and all that stuff is that we're giving tools to people on how to not use it properly. Second is that, for example, when we have skin's disease, a lot of time in emergency, even us, and this is like the grid is running and everything, they'll have to come for a week or two getting IV antibiotic because we need to get them to a certain level before we put them on the pills. So just to say that you're getting a pills because it had, so let's say to kill, we boil water, you know, like when we disinfect water, it has to reach a certain amount of degree into the water. Same thing for the bugs inside your body. The certain concentration of the antibiotic has to reach before it can kills it. Well, this is why we're giving IV antibiotics to reach that. And then after that, we give a pill to maintain it until the bug gets all clear of your body. Well, if this is the level and I take a pill and I'm here, it won't do anything of your thing and you can have a so there's a few pills that works. then you have the whole thing with the fish antibiotics that you don't quite know what you're getting and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But so it is a loaded question because it's, yes, we should have some. Which one? I don't think it's the one that we recommend. And I think if I would go that route, I would sit down with my doctor, my family doctor, say, look, I want to prep. Which one do you recommend? How do I do it? And get proper antibiotics. That would be my thing.
Yeah, I know that we've talked in the past about like the fish antibiotics because it's real popular in the preparedness community. But you told me it was kind of the analogy that you said is like, well, in like dog food and cat food, it's like made of real beef and real chicken. But would you put it on your? Would you cook with it? I'm like,
yeah,
no, I don't think I would. So it's like this,
even like I mean, I've been to conference where what do you call that? Toxicology came, and we're talking like products like vitamins and things, and people were overdosing on lead and everything because they're not regulated by FDA, so therefore they can put whatever they want in their product. Well, if I'm doing fish, that means I can take one pill. Maybe there's 600 milligrams of the medication, and other pills there's 100 milligrams in it. Well, if I take 2 pills now, that's 7 milligrams when I was expecting to take 250 milligrams and stuff. So but they're not regulated, and this is why it's fish.
Got it. Yeah.
Whatever happens to my fish, who cares?
Yeah. Before COVID happened, I had a meeting with my GP, and he knows that about the prepper channel and stuff, knows I'm a prepper. And so I did get some longer refills for a lot of the prescription stuff. So the doctors, at least the one that I talked with, was pretty cool with doing that for me.
Because one that I was looking at, there's like, when I spoke with like a pharmacist, because in the ICU we have like our own pharmacist, and I talked, there was 7 pills that kind of reach their stuff. And when you look at the World Organization, they also recommend those ones. And if I would keep one, like one that I would really look for is doxycycline. Yeah. It works on many things. It has a high absorbance. It stays real in the body. But it's funny because it never makes the list of the fish antibiotics. Like, I don't, this is what I'm talking about. It's like I was, just before we started that, I kind of looked a little bit at the website, and people were talking about, do this. Doxycycline was not on that. And it's like, well, that's the only one that I would carry. If I would carry one, that would be the one, because it's, because also then you started to get broad spectrum and I think we talk a little bit about that project. One thing that I'm looking at for antibiotic, like, again, I'm not against the idea, but it has to be done. The way that the prepper community has gone on it is not the proper way, I think. And the proper way would be to look at gram-positive, gram-negative tests that we could easily do, and it would help us differentiate. One, is it an infection? So is it a bacterial infection? Because it could be a virus. And 2, is it gram-negative or gram-positive? Because that can help you decide whether we're taking.
Yeah, I see a lot of cool comments coming in for the fish antibiotics. So again, we're talking with the MountainRN over here, a good friend of the channel. We've been friends for, we've been hanging out for about half a decade now. Now with COVID, we're not able to get together in person, but we're doing the stream. I see that my mom is on the stream. She says, "Hi, son." That's Tup's mom. I've been trying to get Tup's mom to come on the live stream. For those of you watching this live stream still live in action, if you want to have Tup's mom come on the live stream and she could say any kind of stories about me that she wants to, leave a little comment or a chat, and we'll try to get her on, and we'll have some Q&A with Tup's mom. So again, welcome. Thanks, mom. So, cool. So, and there's so many cool chats coming in here right now. I see the that Bernie is looks like he's in the car. I think he dropped his kid off. Let me see if we can bring Bernie on really quick.
That was
yeah. I don't see anything. I see.
Hold on. There we go. There we go.
There we go. Okay. Are you driving or are you?
No, I'm parked. No, I'm parked. Cool. But no, I was responding to the messages that yes, your mom does need to get on the show for sure, 100%.
Yeah, it seems like people are supportive of it. We have Kaylin who said, "Yeah, hi, mom."
Yes.
Sean, Jade. Okay, mom, if you're watching still, so. Hopefully she didn't.
She has
Hopefully
to tell us.
She might have
She has
unsubscribed
to-
because she saw the Mountain RN was here. Oh,
To tell
Radic,
us
Radic.
stories of you before you become nice. She has to
Yeah,
tell us.
she knows. Yeah, she knows all of my everything about me. So she the other yes, the Prep and Penguin. Yeah, join often. Yeah, well, so Mom, if you're still watching, yeah, we need to have you on. And look, she's still here. Okay, she's reading all the chats.
Yeah.
So it seems like we should have a round table live stream with my mom, and then everyone could just ask her a bunch of whatever questions.
Absolutely.
My mom the other day, she brought over this old my old report card from 6th grade with my teacher, Mrs. Wiley, and Mrs. Wiley every quarter she would leave a comment about me, and every single I read it on my over on the Patreon channel, but every quarter she was commenting on how bad my organization skills were and how messy my desk was, and she was just ripping, every month ripping me to shreds on my organization. Cliff needs to be, or she called me Clifford. Clifford needs to be more organized. He's a complete mess, and his desk is all this, and he doesn't finish anything, and all sorts of, and so now I think on my channel I'm known more for organization. So it might have been thanks to Mrs. Wiley. So. And, Bernie, do you have any final questions for? Oh, maybe.
Yes, I did ask one question in there. Flu shots. That's highly controversial.
Yeah, you're gonna get me banned. I saw that one.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't want to get you banned, so we don't have to. We can take this to Discord if you want.
Hey, let's do it. Let's do it. So here we go. Final question from Bernie.
Okay.
And
So
if it gets shut down, then we're gonna. You know what happened.
You can blame me. You can blame me on that one.
Ronick Madison, does the flu shot work? Viruses are always evolving, so does that really make a difference? The TheMountainRN, what do you think?
So this is where sometimes it's miscommunication, and obviously, like you were saying, it's a little bit controversial with this. So how the flu shot works is that the cells, their season. So for example, the flu starts in Asia and then come back to us by the time it's in the winter. So what they do is they look at what kind of strain was in there, and I don't know if people knew that, but the shot is grown into eggs, and this is why it takes so long. So they literally put it in little eggs and they draw it in stuff and everything. And so this is why you cannot just say, oh, the flu shot was this month, next month we're having a brand new thing. So they have to grow it and manufacture it and stuff. That's why it's hit and miss. So sometimes it worked great because by the time it's back, it's exactly the strain that we had. So it's because you have H and N, right? So that's influenza. So you can have H3, H4, H2 and stuff, and all those combinations are kind of almost like a lock and everything. The problem is that, and to answer the question is that yes, it does help. Well, the research seems to think it helps because what it does is that a little bit like anything that we when you contact dirts and stuff, your immune system gets stronger because it gets tagged by a lot of little disease and stuff. Like for example, when I started in pediatric, I was sick like a dog. Like, and probably you having kids, you probably the first time that they were, like you were always sick. But after 6 months, man, like anything that put me down was like the real men flu. Like I was like sick because it was a big virus. So flu shot is a little bit the same thing, is that you get it a little bit and stuff. I get it every year. I've been getting they don't obligate us, like they recommended us, and it's free obviously for us and stuff, but I get it. So it's because yes, it doesn't work 100%, but it at the long run your body sees way more of those things, and then you get a stronger immune system.
Yeah, so
very good.
Awesome. So there's still more comments coming in. So what we're going to do now is I think we're going to wrap up this particular part of the live stream. We've been talking with the TheMountainRN, which has been awesome. We've been talking about emergency kits for your bug out bag. We've been talking about this humongous first aid kit that's back here. That's kind of a touchy subject. We've been talking about bone saws. We talked about stuff to have in your all sorts of stuff. So make sure that you support the TheMountainRN over on the YouTube channel. By here, there's the big first aid kit, the largest first aid kit on YouTube right now. Make sure you go to the TheMountainRN's channel. It's just the TheMountainRN. and subscribe to him. A lot of good stuff over there. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to head over to the Discord server now. I think, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
We're gonna have like the after hours party.
Yeah, and if I can add, if people have more questions, because you said they had a lot of questions.
Yeah,
I put it on Discord last week. I've kind of just joined that, and it was actually interesting to answer questions, because sometimes, yes, my answer seems to be very long, but I just like to, because it's more gray than black and white. So I like, and I give links and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, just they can put it on Discord.
So if you have any questions, if you have any questions for the TheMountainRN, come over to I think we're going to go over there right now, over to the voice channel, and we're going to just hang out for over there, and we can answer some of these questions, because I see there's more coming in with COVID vaccines and all sorts of other stuff. We have some Netflix things, so come over to the Discord servers for the after hours party. Again, been talking with Daniel, aka TheMountainRN, our friend up in Canada, the Vancouver area. He's an ICU nurse and has a lot of background training, outdoorsman, goes on hikes, and into ham radio, prepping with
kayak. You have to say that I'm doing kayak.
Yes, I got in trouble last night for not mentioning the kayaking. He is an avid kayaker, and he belongs to kayak gangs, and they go around with their So if you want to join the TheMountainRN's gang, talk with him on the Discord server. He'll sign you up for there's an initiation, but it should be a lot of fun. So I hope that all of you guys enjoyed watching this live stream. If you didn't happen to watch it live, you can just go rewatch it and leave some comments in the comment section of this video if you didn't happen to watch it live, and be able to put it in the chat room, and we'll try to get to those, and hopefully the TheMountainRN's able to come and answer a lot of those. But again, always fun to talk with them, and let's go have a little after hours get together over on Discord and go from there. So again, thanks everyone for supporting the channel. Thank you to the TheMountainRN. Thank you for Birdie for keeping everyone in line again. And
trying.
Yeah, stay tuned for the next live stream on Saturday. I'm going to be talking with Austin Chambers, the author of the Cascadia Fallen series, and the final book is just coming out. It just came out yesterday, so we're going to talk with him. And we got a busy schedule. I think I have Canadian Prepper coming. I have Rogue Preparedness coming. We're going to be talking about pantries. We're going to talk about pressurized meat canning. We have all sorts of live stream guests coming, so it should be we're around 2020 is the year of the prepper. So so thanks everyone for the support, and stay tuned for more videos.
See ya.